This was how Nigeria was sold to the British for $1.1 million in 1899. It all began with what many would describe as the First Oil War, which was fought in the 19th century in the area that would later become Nigeria. Nigeria was then known as the Slave Coast, but by the 1870s, this changed as Britain were no more willing to acquire slaves and rather opted for palm oil. This product attained high demand by the British through the 19th century, as it was needed as an industrial lubricant for machinery. The increased need for the tropical plant by the British, which is native to the Niger Delta, was also to maintain the feats that the British had achieved, being the world's first industrialized nation. Initially, most of the trade in the palm oil was not coordinated, as natives were able to sell the product to the highest bidder. Native chiefs became wealthy because of palm oil. Europeans, on the other hand, were competing over who would acquire preferential access to the palm oil trade. Sir Dashwood Tubman Goldie, an aristocrat of the Isle of Man, would be an important figure in the Nigerian palm oil business. In 1879, Goldie formed the United Africa Company, while it took control of the lower Niger River. The Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 was a meeting between European nations to create rules on how to peacefully divide Africa among them for colonization. The conference basically gave the British access to the lower Niger and did not leave much for the Germans and French. After the British got the terms they wanted from other Europeans, they directed their attention to the African chiefs. In 1886, Gordon had started moving inwards into River Niger and Benue, which was against the verbal agreement he had made with the chiefs. This initial agreement was that the United Africa Company would not go past the coastal areas. In that same year, the company's name changed to the National African Company and was granted a royal charter, giving it the right to administer the Niger Delta and all lands around the banks of the Benue and Niger rivers. The company was subsequently renamed to Royal Niger Company, which survives as Unilever till date. The Royal Niger Company went ahead with its unfair trade with the local chiefs. Historical accounts state that the British tricked the native chiefs into signing an agreement that gave them the exclusive right to export palm oil, after originally agreeing that there would be free trade in the region. The chiefs believed this and signed deceitful contracts that were written in English. The British enforced those contracts, and hence then Jaja, a chief from Opobo, wanted to export oil on his own. He was accused of obstructing commerce and was forced into exile. He was, however, in 1891 allowed to return home, but he died on his way back after being allegedly poisoned with a cup of tea. Jaja's incident got many of the native rulers to start taking a second look at the deals that we're getting from the Royal Niger Company. Frederick William Kokomenge, 8th of Nebe Kingdom, popularly known as King Koko, was one of such rulers. Having been faced with encroachment from the Royal Niger Company, he also had qualms with the monopoly enjoyed by the company and tried to seek out favorable trading terms with particularly the Germans. The Royal Niger Company was by 1894 denying natives direct access to their former markets and essentially dictated whom they could trade with. Following these and further restrictions, King Koko in that same year denounced Christianity and formed an alliance with the kingdoms of Bonny and Okpoma to take down the company. The Bani refused the alliance, but this did not stop the move. According to historical accounts, on January 29, 1895, King Koko led an attack on the Royal Niger Company's headquarters, which was in Akassa in current-day Bayelsa State. King Koko succeeded in capturing 60 white men as hostages, as well as several goods and ammunition, though he lost 40 of his men. Kikoko agreed to release his white hostages in exchange for being allowed to choose his trading partners, but the British refused to negotiate with Koko, who subsequently killed 40 of the hostages. As retaliation, Britain's Royal Navy attacked the area of Brass, Nebe, and burned it to the ground on February 20, 1895, killing many people in the town. The British by April 1895 had resumed their normal operations while King Koko was on the run. The people of Brass were fined 500 euro by the British while they looted weapons and the surviving prisoners were returned. Kikoko was also reportedly offered terms of settlement by the British, but he rejected it and disappeared. He was declared an outlaw by the British. He, however, committed suicide in exile in 1898. The Brass War, however, negatively affected public opinion in Britain against the Royal Niger Company. Hence, the company's charter was revoked in 1899. Following this, the Royal Niger Company sold its holdings to the British government for 865,000 euro. That was the amount Britain paid to acquire the area that would later be known as Nigeria.